It's not a barn, it's not a mansion, it's the Barnsion, a place where people come from all over the country for that very special event here in the middle of Montana. We'll show you coming up on today's Wild West.
They said, I think you finally lost your mind now.
In the middle of Montana, in the middle of the prairie, sits a huge and somewhat mysterious red structure unlike anything you've ever seen.
So I just wanted a barn for my horses, and he wanted a shop. It's kind of amazing. It's really kind of a funny story.
What began as a simple barn for Renee and Dave Miller became the Barnsion, a destination wedding, vacation, and meeting site that attracts people from all over the country. And it all happened by accident. You wanted a horse barn and you wanted a wood shop.
Yep, and we wanted a place for the grandkids to stay.
And that extra bedroom became 3 beautiful, fully furnished, Western-themed apartments, housed in a colossal 3-story structure with outdoor decks featuring magnificent views of this part of the American West. With 2 luxury cabins built just steps away, there's plenty of room for at least 40 adults to spend the night.
But we didn't have intentions of anything like it is now. And what are you doing? And I just kept saying, I don't know.
So in the winter, this is your wood shop?
Yes.
The Barnsion's ground floor is home to a huge banquet and party room.
It's a saloon or a stable, whatever you want to call it.
And the tack room where the Millers store their saddles converts to a bar, complete with swinging doors that add to the Western vibe. And the massive structure looks out on a vast lawn that is the perfect picturesque setting for outdoor weddings and other events.
We hadn't planned it, but it's been tremendous fun.
We just sent our horses to get trained.
Dave and Renee can even hitch up their horses to pull their carriage, delivering the bride in style for the ceremony.
Now we're just doing it ourselves and learning as we go. And to me, it's fascinating.
Plus, the property includes a first-class outdoor bathroom, shower, and laundry facility for additional guests staying in campers or tents that the ranch has plenty of room to accommodate.
One wedding we had, 40 campers at least?
Over 40.
40 or 50 campers.
Wedding guests can party until the cows come home without ever waking up the neighbors, because there are no neighbors. And when the party's over, no one has to drive.
And we wanted them to have their party, and they drink a lot at weddings or whatever. We didn't want them driving on the highway. So we wanted a place they can just bed down and not have to leave.
But how does something like this just happen?
I was up early in the morning about 3 o'clock and thinking about designing a barn for her because I'm always building something. And
Renee and Dave run a cattle and sheep ranch with Dave's brother east of Harleton and have some other business interests in town.
Coco, Stormy, Breve, Mocha, coffee.
With her kids grown and gone, Renee can finally indulge her love of Rocky Mountain horses, a beautiful gaited breed that ironically originated in the Appalachian Mountains. Along with ranching, Dave, who studied architecture, has built homes and all kinds of other projects over the years. He was visiting family in Idaho when he got an idea.
I was sitting by a lake, looking down at the lake about 3 in the morning. Just kind of had a picture in my mind of this building. So I sat down at the table and I sketched out a sketch of this building.
Back in Montana, perhaps a month later, Renee was surprised to come home one October day.
She had no idea the size or scope I had in mind.
To find construction underway.
And that slab was poured on the ground, and I remember her words. She says, "Oh my." I didn't know it was going to be this big.
Dave never actually created a blueprint.
And I have the ability to do that. I just chose not to.
The entire plan was in his head, which kept evolving.
I saw a demolition of a big building.
Even after construction began.
Tearing out great big old glue lamb fir beams, old John Deere dealership, and I just pulled in there, actually had a trailer on it, asked them what they were going to do with these beams, and they said they're going to the dump. I said, would you mind loading them on? So I changed the plan at that time to fit these beams. We brought them in, we cleaned them up.
Neighbors who saw the big building going up weren't shy in expressing their doubts.
I literally had multiple people come down here and just shake their heads and say, "You're nuts."
Even the crew doing the work didn't really know what they were building.
I chose not to tell people what I was going to build. Just do this, and I draw them a little sketch, and they just do what I asked at the time. Several people thinking, "You're crazy, that won't work, this won't work." But when it all come together, I think people then understood what I was seeing in my head.
The Barnson's beautiful three-story porch was also improvised. Those magnificent logs were once power line poles.
We planed them, put them down to the cedar, and made them look like they were hand shaved, which they were. We took planers and shavers and redid them and then stained them and built all this front from repurposed power poles off the ranch here.
While construction was underway, Renee was working on the decorating.
It was a lot of fun to decorate. We got all the colors.
In a most creative way.
We wanted it classy Western. We went Craigslist, eBay, antique stores, and just gathered up things for each room that we thought would be neat in each room, and found a lot of interesting antiques that all have stories and things like that.
Dave's woodworking skills turned other people's discarded junk into beautiful furnishings, like this table.
Yeah, and it was all destroyed. We bought it at a secondhand store, but I kind of could see what I wanted to do and built the middle for it, and then put a new oil finish on it. We finished it with oil.
In fact, Dave built almost everything you see. He made all the cabinets, the trim, and the Western-style shelves, plus the wagon wheel chandeliers.
So you make this with the horsehide or the cowhide and the...
Even the very cool stirrup towel holders in the bathroom sink.
Made you look old.
Renee's Western decorating is inspired creativity.
Just some of them really were very unique finds.
An old sheep shed door became a wall hanging. A vintage trunk was discovered on Craigslist, and a desk from a one-room schoolhouse in North Dakota.
It was fun. That was a really fun part. Just a matter of looking here and there and say, oh, that'll fit here and that'll fit here.
Yet all along, Dave and Renee never intended to host visitors.
No. Oh, no. That was not the intent.
Because we didn't build it to rent it out. We just built it for the family.
But that changed when a close friend was killed in an ATV accident. After nearly 2 years of work, built to code and inspected, the Barnsion was largely complete, and the Millers offered to host the funeral. Later that summer, they had their first paying guests when a corporation booked a stay for a meeting. Then a local couple asked if they could rent the place for a wedding. David and Renee never really had any intention of getting into the hospitality business, but once one wedding was held out here, word of mouth spread, and today, weddings are booked a year in advance. Along the way, Dave and Renee kept the skeptical town involved, holding a contest to name their new creation and offering a free stay as the grand prize.
And we got 1,000 names. And one lady said, well, it's that Miller mansion they're building out there, but I said, no, it's a barn. And then they came up with the Barnsion. And she won.
Beautiful spot for a wedding.
It is nice.
Just 2 hours north of Yellowstone National Park, there's all kinds of outdoor recreation in this part of Montana. With special permission, guests can bring horses and ATVs to use on the ranch. There's hiking and fishing, and nearby hunting as well. So many guests choose to just relax, soak in the scenery, and enjoy the chance to be here.
We haven't had a bad group yet. We haven't had a bad guest. It's just been a great experience.
Throughout it all, Dave and Renee are having a blast, especially hosting that most important event of a young couple's life.
It's been so much fun. The people are nice, and you cry at every wedding for somebody you don't even know.
Plus, the Barnsion is still a barn. Renee and Dave take time to have fun themselves, enjoying evening horseback rides on their beautiful property. Their Rocky Mountain horses are striking to look at, and their smooth gait makes them a pleasure to ride. Summertime in Montana at 8 in the evening looks like a sunny late afternoon. The slowly sinking sun gives the magnificent landscape a warm and beautiful glow, as this hard-working and generous couple enjoy some well-deserved R&R on the Montana home they never take for granted.
God has just blessed us in a way that He's trusted us with a little piece of this earth, and we like to share it with others.